You ever step onto your basement stairs and instantly know your day just hit rock bottom? That's what happened to me. The very first step, slosh. Not a squish, not a drip, a full-on, standing in a mud puddle. What the hell happened to my house, slosh? I remember thinking maybe a pipe burst, maybe the old water heater finally called it quits after 20 years. But no, nothing that simple. And believe me, I would have killed for simple. Because when I flicked on the light, there it was. 3 inches of cold, brown water turning my home office, my gym, my own little man cave into the kind of swamp you'd expect to find in a horror movie, not under your own roof. Papers floating, treadmill half submerged, and that smell, God, that's a smell you don't forget. But the real punch in the gut came later. I pulled up my security cameras, half expecting to see a leak or something obvious. And what do I catch instead? It's 1:47 in the morning. HOA contractors out back, shovels in hand, digging a trench right behind my property, sending a whole stream of runoff straight toward my house. Not an accident, not just weather. A full-on, calculated water ambush. That's when I knew if the HOA wanted a flood, they were about to drown in consequences. Couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those orange construction cones, the muddy tire marks, the look of someone doing a job they know they shouldn't be doing. The fans were roaring down in the basement, dehumidifiers humming along like they were on a mission, but the place still felt damp as a dog's nose. I just paced, thinking about what I was going to do next. Morning rolled in on heavy, gray clouds, like the sky was warning me to get ready for round two. So I threw on my boots, walked out back, and let me tell you, the air smelled like betrayal and wet dirt. You live somewhere for 20 years, you notice when the land's off. The HOA's so-called improvements had left this gutter, this little water superhighway, leading right to my fence. No way nature did that on its own. This was a human hand deciding their property was worth more than mine. I was standing there, tracing the fresh shovel marks, when I heard my neighbor Mark. Retired firefighter, up before the sun every day. He goes, "Checking out the new ditch?" I said, "You see them out here last night?" He just nods. "Yeah, came by around midnight. Figured it was an emergency or something." Nope, no emergency, just the usual HOA, doing whatever they want and telling no one. Mark let it slip that a few years back they regraded the community field and flooded the townhomes, then bullied everyone into shutting up about it. Sound familiar? So there I am, staring at this fresh trench, watching the rain start to fall, and I realize these folks picked the wrong guy. I grew up digging drainage ditches with my old man. I know slope, I know runoff, I know when someone's trying to pull a fast one. The next downpour wasn't a question of if, but when, so I waded boots deep in mud, watching as the water raced down that trench and curved right into my basement wall. Not negligence, precision. I went straight to the HOA office. Corintha, the president, the queen bee herself, is in there, sitting like she's working on the next constitution. I didn't even let her get a word in. I just said, "You redirected the drainage onto my property." Her face barely twitched, but I saw it. She tries to feed me a line about temporary adjustments and natural runoff. "Lady, I've lived here for 2 decades. My yard hasn't changed, but you sure dug a new canal last night." She pretended to sympathize, then hit me with the classic HOA. "If you believe there's been an issue, file a complaint." And then the cherry on top, don't embarrass yourself by accusing US of things beyond your understanding. That's the one that did it. I told her flat out, "I'm not filing a complaint. I'm filing a claim." And for the first time, her mask slipped. Storm number 2 hit that night, harder than the first, and it proved everything. The basement filled up faster, water pouring in through the same path, gym mat floating like a sad little island, box of old family photos turning to soup. I started documenting photos, videos, water level measurements, time-stamped everything. When I called the HOA emergency line, got a voicemail telling me to wait 3 to 5 business days. Great. My home's turning into an aquarium, and they want me to fill out paperwork. Next thing I know, there's a knock at my door. Big guy in a reflective vest. Looks like his handyman services logo was ironed on this morning. He pokes around, sticks a finger in the water, shrugs, and tells me it's probably the foundation. Didn't check outside, didn't look at the grade, just wanted to check a box and go home. 5 minutes later, Karen from the HOA emails me. Flooding due to improper home maintenance. I nearly laughed. I'd spent more time waterproofing that basement than she'd spent reading the HOA bylaws. I wrote back, told her the truth. She replied, "Please refrain from accusatory language." Yeah, facts are accusatory now. So I went back outside. The trench was deeper, water rushing faster, more of the backyard eroding away every minute. My phone buzzed another neighbor. "Hey, you know about the drainage change? My yard's getting weird puddles." Not just me. Not just a one-off. The whole block was starting to get hit. By the next day, my nerves were shot, but I knew I needed backup. I spent the night collecting every bit of evidence I could, then started calling real professionals. Most were booked, some wouldn't touch HOA cases, but eventually I found Daniel Pierce, hydrologist, civil engineer, 20 years on the job, testified in court the whole 9 yards. He showed up that afternoon, gear in hand, and in about 5 minutes he was shaking his head. This trench? Not natural erosion. Fresh work. Done by amateurs in a hurry. He mapped the slope with his laser, poked at the soil, took samples. Turns out, the HOA had raised a ridge uphill, reversing the natural flow and shoving every drop of rainwater right into my house. Daniel tested the foundation, ran dye through the trench. Sure enough, the water funneled right into my basement wall. This is 100% external water pressure caused by improper grading performed uphill. HOA is responsible. I asked him to put it in writing. He offered a full engineering report and even video documentation if needed. When he said the word testify, I knew I was ready for battle. The next HOA meeting was packed. All the neighbors who'd been dealing with flooding, plus a few who just loved a good fight. Karen up front in her power blazer, trying to hold the room. But when I presented the evidence, the drone shots, the analysis, the videos, people started murmuring, then shouting. Karen tried to talk her way out, but the facts were there, in black and white, for everyone to see. A neighbor yelled for her to resign. Others demanded a vote, and Karen lost her cool, storming out to a chorus of boos. Board members scrambled, promising to review documentation. No one believed them. Then, next morning, guess who shows up at my door? Karen, flanked by 2 board members, eyes blazing, shouting about harassment and fabricated evidence. I calmly reminded her that state law says I can record our conversations and that her trench, not my camera, caused the flood. She threatened disciplinary action. I just laughed. Go ahead, my home's not even under HOA jurisdiction. She stormed off, threatening court. I told her I'd already lawyered up. A day later, the HOA board, now minus Karen, called an emergency meeting, suddenly very eager to discuss remedies. My lawyer came with me. We handed over the full list of demands. Not just a quick fix, but full drainage system installation, professional regrading, total restoration of my property, all costs covered. And oh, yeah, Karen's removal from the board. After some squirming, they agreed. That night, for the first time in days, I actually slept. But the story wasn't over. Of course, it never is with HOAs. Karen sent a 3-page, hand-delivered letter full of legalese claiming water was running uphill, blaming me for hazardous conditions on my own land. I forwarded it to my lawyer, who just laughed and said, "This helps us more than it hurts." Reckless, self-incriminating. It was the nail in her professional coffin. The board called another emergency session, this time without Karen, and in front of a packed house admitted responsibility, announced full repairs and compensation, and promised to work with a licensed engineering firm. Someone clapped. Then the whole room broke out cheering. Karen burst in for one last meltdown, accused everyone of conspiracy, shrieked about witch hunts, banged her fist on the podium, and got herself suspended for good. With Karen out, the HOA cut the check, $90,000 in total. Real contractors came, fixed everything, filled the trench, restored the grade, installed French drains and waterproofing, replaced my floors, even upgraded the gym. The whole thing became neighborhood entertainment, folks stopping by to gawk at the scale of the work and the cost. The new board watched from the curb, pale and humbled muttering about accountability. Alicia, my neighbor, told me I'd save the neighborhood. Maybe I just refused to let them drown me quietly. Then, the final twist. 3 days after the job finished, the county inspector showed up. Daniel, the hydrologist, had filed a report about unauthorized land modification, mandatory by law. The county opened a full investigation. The old board panicked, and soon after, a community-wide vote booted Karen and her loyalists out for good. New leadership, new transparency, new rules. My property? Better than ever. My basement? Bone dry. The new president, Sam, thanked me at the next barbecue, announced that all future drainage projects would need environmental assessments and a community vote. Got a round of applause I didn't know what to do with. All I really wanted was for my house to stay dry, for my neighbors to stop being afraid, and for someone to finally stand up and say, enough. And as I looked around at the crowd, laughing, grilling, kids playing, no Karen in sight, I realized something. Sometimes, all it takes is one stubborn neighbor to tip the balance. So, let me ask you, have you ever gone toe-to-toe with an unfair HOA, a bad neighbor, or someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Drop your stories below. Tell me what you'd have done, and don't forget to subscribe for more HOA tales. Because trust me, there's always another one just waiting to happen.